We, the Arroyo Seco Foundation and the Pasadena Audubon Society, will file a lawsuit to stop the county's Big Dig program, which would excavate 2.4 million cubic yards of sand and debris from behind the dam. We have participated in a long process trying to provide better alternatives for the county, but the county has just not listened to the alternatives that we provided. They've been stone deaf to the voices of the community, who for 4 years have been offering more moderate and better ways in order to provide the kind of flood protection that's needed, while also providing for the habitat and restoring the beautiful nature of the area here. The Hahamongna Watershed Park is a natural treasure. That is the area where the San Gabriel Mountains really meet, and the water from the Arroyo Seco flows from here to downtown Los Angeles. This is the most precious environmental treasure in our area, and we're not going to let it be destroyed by the trucks and bulldozers of Los Angeles County. They've got to come up with a better way to provide for the sediment management here at Devil's Gate Dam. Their program is too big. It would take out more than twice as much sand and sediment as is really needed. It would bring this level back to almost pre-dam conditions behind the dam, and that's unacceptable. It's too fast. There will be 425 diesel trucks a day coming in and out of this basin, 1 truck per minute of their work schedule, and it'll have horrendous impacts, not just on the nature and habitat here at Hahamongna, but also on the neighborhoods that surround this area, on the streets that come into Hahamongna and this part of the community here that sits right between La Cañada, Flint Ridge, Pasadena, and Altadena. It will create tremendous traffic congestion on the 210 and 134 freeways, and all of these impacts, including the air quality, the public health, and the recreational opportunities that will be destroyed long-term by their program, have not been adequately evaluated in their environmental impact report.
Behind me is one of the most beautiful, precious areas that we have here in Southern California. Both Tim and I have been working with the county for years to try to get them to moderate their plans so that it is not so destructive. We have a wildlife corridor here, and the county plans on destroying it in the name of moving dirt from one place in the county to another place in the county. They admit that this will cost $60 million. We know it will cost a lot more than that. So we are for the birds. Birds are the canaries in the coal mine, and if we destroy bird habitat, we are destroying our own habitat. We are destroying the place where we live. Tim and I know from years of working with the county that they can do better, that they can work with us, they can work with the city of Pasadena. They have rejected our ideas, they have rejected our plans, and they will not listen to logic and reason and science, so now they're going to listen to a lawsuit. Thank you very much.
This project is a product of poor decision making, money, and politics coming together, and this project has failed to answer a number of key questions required by law. As now former Supervisor Zev Yaroslavsky stated in voting against this project, quote, "I'm not satisfied. I believe Mr. Zemansky deserves an answer, and the rest of us do, to the questions we asked. What are the odds that if you went with the Pasadena alternative or any other alternative, that you would have an overflow that would create a major flood? It's a very legitimate question that these groups are asking. The Los Angeles Flood Control District has failed to answer this question as well as many others, as they are required to under the California Environmental Quality Act. The Flood Control District's estimates as to how much sediment removal is required for the Devil's Gate Reservoir behind us has varied wildly through the years, ranging from 1.67 million cubic yards to the now proposed 2.4 million cubic yards. Moreover, agency documents from as late as recent as 2013 indicates that the reservoir is currently meeting acceptable flood risk standards by the Flood Control District's own estimates. Finally, the environmental impact report reflects the hurried and rushed nature of this project's approval. The environmental impact report is based upon an inaccurate environmental baseline that estimates the project's environmental impacts not on the current existing conditions at the reservoir, but rather upon projected future conditions from 2020 after the project has already been completed. Finally, the FEIR also fails to specify numerous critical details that are required under California Environmental Quality Act, including the staging area, and how the project will be able to mitigate its impacts. This is a good case with strong merit, and Christina, Carol, and I are very proud to be representing these groups.
There's many other groups supporting this lawsuit. This has been tremendous community controversy going on with regard to this, and the county received more than 250 separate comments on their draft environmental impact report, which were overwhelmingly in support of a more moderate and slower program in order to deal with the sediment issue here. The city of Pasadena released a report which was unanimously adopted by the Pasadena City Council twice with a unanimous vote, which called for a much more moderate program which would have about a quarter the impact of the county program. So we're not saying that there doesn't need to be sediment removed from the dam at this time. Clearly that sediment has built up here over 94 years, and a slow but steady program which takes advantage of stream flow and the natural characteristics of a stream can do a better job without all of the community disruption that the county plan will have. The county plan is an old 100-year-old plan for managing this area. We need a plan for the next generation and for the next century in order to really treat the Arroyo Seco as a river once again and not as a staging area for county trucks and bulldozers.
The county says that there will be very bad air pollution and it's unmitigatable. There's nothing they can do about it. That is how they have responded to our concerns.
How many trucks are coming? 400, is it?
425 trucks per day.
There's no room on these streets.
Exactly.
They're going to actually do a cut over there in order to bring trucks in here and put permanent roads into the basin. Really, they're talking about 425 trucks a day, 50,000 trucks a year, 150,000 truckloads over the course of the excavation program. And then they're going to leave a 50-acre maintenance yard, basically, right in the middle of the stream zone. Now, this is the most precious habitat in our region, the stream zone in particular, and that's what they're going to leave as a permanent legacy and what they call a sediment management program. That's not an acceptable sediment management program which takes into account the very important environmental, habitat, and wildlife concerns that are here.
This area is very, very biodiverse. It's very bio-rich. We have even a federally endangered bird that has been sighted there many times. Right where they want to do all their excavating, right where this bird has been known to nest and eat and live. So that is not acceptable by our standards at all. They pushed this through and then ignored all of our comments. That's not how we do government in California or in LA or in the United States. They work for us. They are the public works department. They work for the public, that's us. So why aren't they listening to the people that they work for? That's not right.
There's 7 schools in this immediate area, and as you can tell we're kind of in a little bowl here. So the likelihood is that the diesel fumes that are going to come from these trucks and from the excavators and loaders and all the equipment that they have and the noise and everything else are going to kind of bunch up in this area right in here. So air quality impacts are really quite frightening, as a matter of fact, and there's increasing studies, some have just come out recently that talk about asthma and other conditions for young people that are aggravated by this kind of diesel contamination. So there's got to be a better way to do this program. We're calling for a more natural way of doing this and for really integrating this into a stream restoration program which takes into account the water value here and emphasizes water quality and natural stream management and the wildlife and habitat also with regard to the stream. We want the Arroyo Seco back as a river again.
Here, this is going backwards. This is anti-restoration. We want a forever plan. We don't want to spend $60 million to move dirt once. It'll fill up again. We have to spend $60 million again to move it again. Let's have a systematic, sustainable program that works with nature instead of fighting against it. That's what we want, a forever plan.
What's the impact going to be on recreational use?
The Audubon Society, we do our monthly bird walk here with children. And when I think of all the Tom Sawyer campers here, the horseback riders, people who walk their dogs, terrible, terrible impacts on all of us, which they did not take into account in their EIR.
Do you have an alternative plan?
Pasadena appointed a sediment working group to evaluate these issues and to come up with a better plan. First of all, the amount of sediment the county is removing is too much. So they said 1.1 million cubic yards instead of 2.4. Then they said instead of 425 trucks a day, it should be no more than 120 trucks a day. So basically it was a program that said go slow, use the flow from the stream, and respect the nature and habitat and the recreational uses that are in this area.
Their plan is destructive, it's devastating, it is not eco-friendly, it is not sustainable, it is very expensive, and we are all paying for it. That's not okay with us.
Yeah. The point of the Pasadena plan was to reduce the sediment to a target level that is acceptable, that will provide for habitat and wildlife in the future, and then keep it at that level. So have an ongoing program in the future so that we don't ever have a big dig again. Twice the city council approved that, 5-0. The county dismissed it out of hand as not meeting their goals and objectives. If you go to the website savehahamongna.org, you can see the comments that people offered in the scoping hearings and then the comments on the draft environmental impact report. And suggestions like this really were offered for consideration, but they were uniformly dismissed. There's school groups, a lot of runners come up here all the time and run through here. La Cañada High School, Muir High School in Pasadena, and a lot of younger students as well are coming up here using it. So it's a tremendous recreational resource, and the city of Pasadena has worked really for 30 years to develop it as a really important natural treasure and as a recreational resource for the community. Our concern is that the County Flood Control District's plan doesn't really take into effect the very serious reduction of recreational opportunity there will be from their program. We're confident, however, there will be either a settlement that provides for a more reasonable and moderate program, or we're ready to go all the way to court, and we think we can win because of the flaws in their environmental impact report. Well, thank you very much for coming here today. If you have any further questions, we'll be available.
Well, it makes you wonder, is the objective here to spend money?
It does make you wonder.
It doesn't seem to be. I mean, everybody seems to agree that this is not a permanent solution.
Of course it's not.
This is just a crash effort, damn the expense.
Yeah, my heart just sank when I heard that there was $65 million already allocated, because somebody's brother-in-law has their eyeball on it, you know.
And the 210 has already become so impacted with traffic. I can't even imagine what's going to happen with 425 trucks a day going all day long during school hours. Try going by the schools now when there's pickup and drop-off time. Compound that with adding all of these trucks there, and then these trucks emitting diesel fumes, which are a known carcinogen. It just doesn't equate.
This is really just a sediment trucking operation. That's all it is. They're going to excavate sediment like a mining company would, and then they're going to truck it 25 miles away to landfills, either in Azusa or in Sun Valley.
If the lawsuit doesn't create a stay, when do they start?
They're going to do preliminary work for the next year or so, and they actually want to begin excavation in the spring of 2016.